To load material into the machine, obviously pull the material through the back first, and then there's these little wheels that you can slide up and down. Right, these little wheels must stop inside one of the white areas, and I do mean the rubber part of the wheel must be inside this white area for it to work properly, otherwise it says improper position. There's a sensor just here, and the material must cover it. So if you put it right over in this corner, where you would think like logically you would start, it won't cover the sensor, and the machine will tell you there's nothing in. So put the material over the sensor, move the wheel over, and I find that it helps for it to touch the vinyl just a little. But you want it to touch it as little as possible so you can get the maximum width. And then move the other wheel in until it is inside the white and also on the vinyl a little bit. Square it off on this edge and then close this lever on the back. Next step is turn the machine on, this button does a little home of the head, and on this screen it says, it's asking you what's in it. So you can say roll, edge, piece, so if it's like a piece of paper. In this case it's a roll, so you push enter and then the machine will go and home the head. So when I push enter, then the head will come along and it'll look for these two rollers. Once that's done, just to maximise how much material is available, you can hold the in button, and then on the machine just press and hold the origin button, and it says origin set. The printer's now ready. On the left hand side of the head, this is actually the blade holder. To remove the blade, you just undo this little brass screw, flip it open, hold this little arm and take the blade holder out. The back of the blade holder has a little plunger on it. This bit isn't sharp. That is purely for removing the blade when you're changing it out. The front of the blade holder has the blade in it. I don't know if you can see that. Now, the instruction manual says have this sticking out about the thickness of a credit card. To adjust that, you just turn this little end here. In this blade holder at the back, you can actually put a pen in it, and then you can get it to draw things. If you can find a use for that, great. When you put the blade holder back in, remember it's plunger side up, and it just sits on a little shelf. Close the door and drill the little brass. That's it. So starting off on the desktop, when it's a recently installed program, it'll probably be here in recently added, but you can just take it and drop it on your start menu, or you can take it and drop it in the taskbar, wherever you like. When you first open the software up, it actually comes through as the maximum document size, so that would be like 2 feet wide, and then I think it's 1.6 meters as its max. Yeah, that's obviously no good, because that's not the size of the material it's in. So there's two ways you can do this. You can, before you start, it's much easier to do it before you start. So if you say cutting setup, and then you come to media size and choose change, you can manually enter it, which I wouldn't recommend because you have to go and read it off the screen, or you can just say get from machine, and it says 87.2. The maximum width is 100mm because that's the width of the vinyl, but you're limited by the fact that the roller needs to touch the vinyl so it doesn't slip. The other thing is this will be vertical width, so you don't want that because you'll have to work vertically, so you can choose rotate and then clockwise 90 degrees. What I've found is the cutting speed, if it's kind of faster than 20, you get kind of artifacts and the acceleration of the head makes little wavy lines. So cutting around 15 centimeters a second is where I found pretty good. Cutting force is 80 for the blue paint mask or 90 for normal vinyl. You can experiment with these a little bit. The blade offset is dependent on which blade's in the cutter, so that's actually a 0.25, so you can leave that one alone. Or you can just use the cutting conditions from the machine, which I think are just defaulted to 80. It's up to you. And you just choose OK. So now you get the roll laid out from left to right, and then this is where the head is right now in relation to the origin of the vinyl. So to start putting line numbers on or whatever, first you want a rectangle. It doesn't really matter the size. Throw some text in, of a standard line number. If you want it in a different font, you come up to this shape and size window, and you go along and you choose format, and you can just change it to whatever you like. I think in the past I was using acronym or acronym bold. extra bold, that was it. But whatever font you've got that looks nice, just try and keep them all the same. So if you want to come and resize this text, there's a small issue with how this program works, which means that you can do this, or this, which obviously you don't want. So the nicest way that I found around that is to either get your tongue at the right angle and just make it look nice, or you can just hold the shift key down on the keyboard and that locks the aspect ratio, so you get constant resizing, which I would probably recommend. When you're positioning the text inside the border, just remember that this is a paint mask, so you want like a little bit of room between the top of the letter and the edge of the character. Otherwise you'll have some masking tape around it, so that when you're stenciling it, you'll get paint everywhere. It would probably pay dividends to get, to work the rollers a little bit better than what I did and get more than 87mm, just to give you a bit of room to get like, 2 decent sized labels in. But for the purposes of this video, it'll be fine. You can then select everything, copy, paste, and then you get, your second label, and then you just have to kind of play about a little bit with your sizes, just make sure that everything fits. And then once you're happy with what you've got, you don't need to worry about the fact that the label goes on forever, because actually when it gets to the end of its last cut, it'll just stop cutting. To initiate the cut, you go cutting, and just make sure this little preview is what you want to see. You don't want to see like before when it was vertical and then the letters hanging out the side. If you want to go really fast, you can choose high speed. High speed is very, very high speed, and you get a lot of artifacts. I would just leave it on machine settings for now, and then you can just check the cutting force is around 90 for normal vinyl. Cutting speed is 15 centimeters a second, which is what we set earlier. Press print. Once the cut is finished, you can either use the buttons on the machine just to get it to feed out, but if you've got a really long roll, I wouldn't do that. I would just release the arm at the back, pull it through, making sure that you don't knock the wheels. And if you just very carefully locate the edge of it, you can actually take some form of cutting instrument, just lock the head, and then just cut in this little gap, and then that would be your label. And all you need to do from there is just weed out all the letters, stick them on the pipes, and profit.